threat of infectious diseases. Humans have known that climatic conditions affect epidemic diseases long before the role of infectious agents were discovered. Emerging epidemics pose a major threat to the global public health, and international joint research is needed to address this challenge. So we're very pleased to have Graham Hughes, Dr. Lisa Ng, Dr. Pierre Roch, and as Graham will tell you in greater depth, and as I already mentioned, health is one of the largest funded sectors of FP7, and as I said earlier, the EU has earmarked a total of 6.1 billion euros to fund this theme for the duration of FP7. Lisa and Pierre will be sharing. We'll have a good discussion after the presentations are over. Today,
right, thank you, Jessica, and good morning to everybody. Actually, can everybody hear me without this?
yes,
Yes? It's going to be easier than pointing this to mine. Right, let's see if I can get the technology to sort of roll with the SCPs later in the presentation. Okay, so the agenda for today, I'm going to do a quick FP7 overview. I don't know what the collective experience of FP7 is in the room, but if you bear with me, I'll just run through the major points about FP7. Then go, just to set the scene really for the health programme, just to go through the major themes in the international cooperation areas, and just to show you where the health theme fits within those. Then I'm going to go into a short amount of detail on the health work programme. Now this changes every year, so I can't, it's never fixed. I'll go through some of the fixed themes and maybe just some examples of the topics that come up, especially related to international collaboration. At the moment on small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, and that's really my, in the health field, that's where I'm most active, is trying to get SMEs to participate in the framework programme.
March this year, it was down here. Now there was a headline in a newspaper that said Australian temperatures average in spite of reports of heat waves. Now this is a map of the temperature anomalies at the time. There you can see that in the northern parts of Australia, temperature anomalies were down by 10 degrees, but in the southern states where all the bushfires occurred, they were up by 10 degrees. Of course, if you average across the continent, you don't see it. Scale matters enormously in this context. And of course the Australian rice industry, because of the increasing drought and the failing rains, is very seriously affected, and there are various levels of adaptation. You can have farm level adaptation by reducing water use, by moving towards new water saving production systems, things like alternative wetting and drying or aerobic rice systems in rotation with other crops. Or you can have industry level adaptation. They actually shift the entire production from one area to another. And of course those different types of adaptation have very different impacts on the people who are living there. If you have farm level adaptation, clearly people can adjust to that and they can still maintain their production system. If you have industry level adaptation, the livelihoods are very severely affected at the individual locations. In terms of production, both of them are very, very low adoption, eventually be doable. But what are the impacts? We don't know exactly what these impacts are. We need tools that can translate that increased photosynthetic capacity that the C4 rice could have into production. And the way we do that is by having quantitative tools, by having modeling tools that can actually help us to assess what that sort of impact would be at a particular location. What can you do to overcome those problems? Are there genetic traits available that would help us to better cope with it? Are there better management practices available that would help those farmers to cope with it? And again, it's something that is very context specific. Now, how do we package all these different types of technologies to really come up with the best adaptive strategy?
Copenhagen meeting in the next month. So the highest carbon dioxide emission especially come from the energy sector, about more than 100 comparing to 1990. This is very important for the Kyoto. When we look at the reasons of the increasing greenhouse gases of Turkey, the main is come from the energy industries and transport. the high growth in final electricity demand says that indicates that about 42,000 approximately megawatt, and more than 60% and 30% target approximately. So the shaping of installed power in Turkey, this is the coal provides the potential energy security. Coal, lignite about 21, and natural gas is about 30.
A very quick summary of undesirable substance that you can find in your food. There is a lot you can read this transparency, but usually the microbes are the more killing, and are killing more quickly than the others. Availability of Chinese melamine last year. They sent to the hospital more than 50,000 some people every year. The most important in food technology is this one. Possibly about you know, I don't know if you know this one, but all the system of sterilization in the world are based on the killing of the spore of this bacteria. All the people, not the city. This one is quite important for tropical areas. There are some fungi which are growing naturally on seeds, for example, on cocoa, on coffee, and are producing mycotoxins.
For instance, like I said before, there were no mosquitoes in my place. I could just sleep. Well, of course, I will use a blanket because it's cold. But before that, you don't need any blanket because there are no mosquitoes. But now, you can kill the mosquitoes with the, left and right because of global warming. So it has altered. I mean, especially for dengue, dengue is a disease that is limited to the cities mostly. But now it's coming up higher, So that means for us, for mosquito control people, it's more work because now we have to go further, Independent in sexual reproductive binding rates and microorganism reproductive rates. Uniformly indicate the potential spread in geographic areas that will sustain vector-borne disease transmission to higher latitudes under global warming. So, as I said, yes. Now, evidence, men in the street, they are all puzzled. How come we have more diseases? And they said, so they know about climate change, but there is no, in their minds, there is no connection between climate change and disease outbreaks, see? The most recent and relevant data from the physical and biological state indicate that a significant warming trend
stabilizing governments in low-income nations and disrupting global economic growth. And I don't go into the second one. The second one is important in some way. If today's entire US grain harvest were converted into fuel for cars, it will at best use 25 to 30%. The plan for the European Union is 20% by 2020 or 2025. Only 20%. It's not going to reach there. The biofuels is just accounting for 3 or 4% now. This is renewable, it might be clean, but you cannot convert everything into fuel crops. This is what I talked about, the land availability and fuel already prices right.
The scientific cooperation under the FP7 should also be open to the linkage to the other cooperation, whether it is development cooperation or economic cooperation or whatever. So I have the feeling that like for example, the example from Ohio just between research and climate change.
It's a broader context.
Yes, please. Yeah, I fully agree. It should be a fund for applied education. Why? I'll give you an example. We talk about the trouble now. As I said, if you use existing extraction method, it's crude. I give you the number. If you have only 100 hectares, that tropa, your energy input is 50%. If you only 20 hectares, your energy input